I'm going to be covering the 3 elements that you need in order to be able to create what we call the habit loop, and also 5 things that you can do to make sure that those habits that you create stay in action. This channel is dedicated to entrepreneurs, leaders, and ambitious professionals that want to live a purposeful, inspired, and energized life and transform excuses into results and live a life that they love. If you haven't already, then hit subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you can make sure that you get these videos as soon as they come out. According to researchers at Duke University, habits account for about 40% of our actions on a daily basis. Understanding how to create new habits and how your current ones work are essential in being able to make progress in your career, in your health, in your life in general. There can be a lot of information out there, and a lot of it isn't really simple and easy to digest, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you on this video, is exactly that: simple, easy, digestible information. I'm going to be sharing with you the skills and actions that you need to take to ensure that these habits that you create actually stick. First, we need to understand the 3 elements that are involved which make up what's known as the habit loop. This is a concept that was discovered by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, known as MIT, and made famous by Charles Duhigg in his book, The Power of Habit. So the first element is a trigger. Now, a trigger is essentially something that happens that enables your brain to go into automatic mode and decide what habit to use. The second is routine, which is the habit itself. And this could be physical, it could be mental, it could be internal, it could be external. And the third is the reward, which is what enables your brain to understand if this particular loop of action, this routine of action, is worth remembering for the future and whether it's something you should continue to do or not. So as you'll see on the screen right now, you've got the trigger, which is the reminder that signals us into routine. You've got the routine itself, which is the habit itself, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. And then you've got the reward, which is the positive feedback that closes the loop. There's a great quote by John Dryden, which I love, which is, first we make our habits, then our habits make us. And I think is so true. So what I want to do is I want to share with you 5 steps that you can take that are going to enable you to start to put these actions into place. Now you understand the basis of a habit loop, we're going to understand how we can put these into action. But before I do that, I want to give you an example of a habit loop in action. So take something really simple like brushing your teeth. You might see your toothbrush and the toothpaste on the side by the wash basin, or you might see the cupboard if you keep your toothbrush in that wash basin, and that is in itself the trigger. Now when you were much younger, the trigger that you would have had was your parents, your parents or your guardians that would have brushed your teeth for you, or once you got a little bit further on than that, when they should do it for you, say, have you brushed your teeth, which was the trigger, and then you would go and do it because you've been told what to do, and then eventually you get to a point one day where they'll say, have you brushed your teeth? And you'll say, yes, I've already done it. So that was something that enabled you to be able to get into action. You had that guidance, but the trigger was there. And then, like I say, as we get older, now we have the trigger. I'd like to think if you're an adult watching this, at least you don't have to be told by somebody to brush your teeth anymore. But what you'll do is you'll see, like I say, either the toothbrush or the toothpaste or the cabinet that's there that will enable you to act as the trigger to go and brush your teeth. The second thing is the routine, so the actual action itself. So in this instance, brushing your teeth and doing that at whatever time of day that it is you brush your teeth. And then finally, you've got the reward. Now in this instance, what was discovered about 100 years ago is that in order for people to brush their teeth, they want to be able to have a reward. And what we know these days as the reward is that minty freshness that most of us get if we're using minty toothpaste, and also that that real nice feeling where you've got that sort of fuzzy layer that's been taken off your teeth and they feel really smooth and clean. So they're the rewards, they're the reasons why we want to brush our teeth. We're not necessarily doing it because we're thinking about the long-term consequences of decay and whatever else that might be going on within our mouths and the hygiene of our mouths at that point. But we're doing it most of the time because we want the reward of that minty freshness and that nice smooth feeling, and no doubt to prevent other people that are in your close proximity saying various things about you if you haven't done it. So that's just one example of you using your habit loop. So let's get stuck into the first of these 5 things that you can put in place, these 5 skills that you can start to build on. So the first is start with an incredibly small habit. Where most people go wrong is they decide they want to create a new habit and they go gun-ho. I mean, the best example of this is take someone that wants to get into exercise when a new year comes about. They decide, right, I want to get fit. They might not have exercised for years and they say, right, I'm going to join the gym. They join the gym. They say, right, I'm going to go to the gym every day. And they do that. They go every day from the 2nd of January once they've got over their hangover forever for most people. They go in the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and then all of a sudden they get to the seventh, they go, wow, this really hurts, this is really hard, and then they don't go, and very quickly that starts creeping in, and then they find themselves not going. So start really small. You want to make it so easy that it almost seems too easy. So if you want to decide that you want to create a habit of reading every day, then commit to yourself that you're going to read just 1 page a day or 1 paragraph a day. Make it so easy that you can build on that. I remember years ago when I wanted to get in the habit of running, and it was winter. And what I really wanted to be doing was running 3 or 4 miles. But what I promised myself was that I would start really small. And the way I started so small was I literally laid out the clothes that I was going to wear the night before. So I'd get up first thing in the morning, it was really dark and it was cold. The clothes were already laid out on the floor next to my bed to make it really easy for myself. Then I said to myself, right, I'm going to get out and all I have to do is run 100 meters. So I allowed myself the ability to just run 100 meters. Now, once I'd run 100 meters, I knew that I'd already done the hard part. I'd got up, I'd got dressed, I'd got out in the cold, I was already this. It was much easier to keep up and build up that habit. But if I ever did want to just do 100 meters and go back inside, I could have done. I was just starting small, and then gradually I was able to build that up. So if you're someone in the past that has struggled to create a habit and have said things like, I wish I had more motivation, or I need more motivation, or I wish that I could find myself in a situation where I had more willpower, then this is the perfect place for you to be able to start. Research shows that motivation is like a muscle. The more you use it, the more it gets fatigued. And what happens is motivation sort of ebbs and flows throughout the day. It's what researcher J.B. Fogg calls the motivation wave. And what we want to do is that we want to be able to put ourselves in a situation that if the wave is moving up and down, that the actions that we're going to take are still going to be at the lowest levels of our willpower, so that we can start to get into that habit, rather than start the habit when we've got loads of willpower and we're really, really determined. Essentially, what you want to do is make it so easy that you can't say no. The second step you can take is start to increase your habit in small little increments. Small percentage increases improve dramatically, but then so do small percentage declines. So by just improving a small amount consistently, you'll be amazed at the power of the compound effect and what that's going to do and how that's going to enable you to be able to grow. The beauty of doing this is that your motivation, your willpower is going to continue to grow as well. So things that once upon a time would have felt really hard, because you've built up really, really slowly, you'll find really quickly you'll be able to have that determination, that willpower that maybe weeks or months ago you just didn't have, but you've done it because you've conditioned yourself over a period of time. So it doesn't feel like it's taking a huge amount of effort. This is really about understanding the power of the tiny gains. And Albert Einstein, a very, very smart man, one of the smartest men that's ever lived on this planet, he called the power of compounding the 8th wonder of the world. And this image that you can see on the screen right now just shows you the power of what could happen over a year if you improve just 1% every single day. So as you can see, there's a dramatic difference. You could go, if you had started at literally 1.01 for 365 days, you end up with 37.78. Whereas if you got 1% worse every day, and you started at 0.99, you would end up at 0.03. It's a dramatic change. So for you, be really focused on those marginal, tiny little improvements on a regular, consistent basis. The third step that you can take is, as you build up, start to break it into chunks. Because as we just spoke about, if you're adding 1% every day or 1% very consistently, it's going to expand and it's going to grow very, very quickly. So what we want to do is be able to keep this reasonable. So what you can do is you can put yourself in a position where you break it down into chunks. So let's say it was press ups, for example. If you wanted to do 50 press ups and then you started off on just doing 5 press ups a day, and then you were adding and you're adding and you're adding, what you might get to a point, you turn around and say, right, well, I'm now going to do 20, but I'm going to do 2 sets of 10. Or if you want to get to your 50, you might want to do 2 sets of 25 and be able to build up that way. So you're still achieving the goal, but you're building it up in chunks, which again takes the pressure off yourself and make it easy. As you're probably starting to get from this video, what I'm trying to do is put yourself in the best possible position to achieve your outcome in the most efficient and effective way that's going to make it feel easy, so that you can really build this habit into your lifestyle. The fourth is that when you slip, get back on track quickly. It's inevitable that at some point, as you're creating this habit, what's going to happen is you're going to fall off the proverbial bandwagon. Now, that's okay. If you expect that from the outset, then you can deal with that. What's key is what you choose to do next. Now, the thing to remember is that when you slip up, you're not starting back at the beginning. So I like to think of creating a new habit like a spiral. And as you can see on the screen now, you've got a spiral. And if every time that you slip up, whilst it might seem that you're back at the beginning again, you're not. You're that one next round closer to mastery. Now, obviously we want to do everything in our power to put you in a position whereby you're slipping up as little as possible and put yourself in the right environment and create the right habits, which we're going through now, to not slip up as much as possible. But if you do, understand that you're not right back at the beginning. It's a little bit like if someone was climbing a mountain and if they slipped off one of the cliffs, they haven't fallen all the way back down to the beginning of the mountain. They've just slipped that cliff, and then maybe they need to find another way round to get it, or they just need to attempt it again. It's a very simple process. The key here is to never miss twice. Top performers make mistakes. It happens. It happens to those guys the same way that it's going to happen to you. But the key is that what they do is get back on track very, very quickly by not missing twice. So if you, for example, are looking to improve your diet and you wanted to create a new habit in order to be able to improve your diet, then if you don't have the best of breakfast, don't say, right, I'm going to write the whole day off. Make sure that you have a better lunch and you have a better dinner. Don't say that because something went wrong of a lunchtime, go, oh, that's all right, I'll start again tomorrow. Make sure that the dinner that you're making up for is a healthier dinner. Research has shown that missing your habit once has no long-term impact on your overall progress. So what I highly recommend you do is abandon your all or nothing mentality and stop trying to be perfect. But what you do is that you get back on track very quickly should it happen. The thing that we've always said for years is that I've fallen off the bandwagon. Well, if you imagine if that bandwagon is running along and then you fall off, all you've got to do is sprint, catch up, jump back on it, and then carry on. Don't let the bandwagon keep going and then it feels like it's way too far away for you to be able to get back on track. What I'm saying here is that you shouldn't expect to fail, but you should plan for failure. Take some time to consider what might prevent your habit from being able to happen, what could get in the way, essentially what are the roadblocks, because by you planning for those ahead of time, you can create plans to deal with them and get around them when that happens. You know, if you wanted to create a habit of running, for example, and you might get an injury, well, what could you do to prevent that in terms of stretching or going and having appropriate regular sessions with a physio or an osteopath? What could you do if you wanted to change your health habits and you've got a bit of a sweet tooth? Or you could take that food out of the house so it's not there for you to be able to deal with, or to be able to have that willpower battle with. If you wanted to get in the habit of going to the gym, for example, but you fear that you might get busy at the end of the day with work, then don't go at the end of the day, go at the beginning of the day. We want to be thinking ahead about what could potentially happen so we could prevent that and put ourselves in the best possible position to plan for these failures, but most importantly, ensure that we're doing everything in our power to mitigate these slip-ups happening. So remember, you just need to be consistent, not perfect. The fifth is be patient and stick to a pace that you can sustain. You can make incredible progress if you are consistent and if you're patient. If you're adding weights in the gym, then you should probably lift less and go slower than you think you have an ability to. If you're adding daily sales call to your business strategy, then you should probably start with fewer than you know you have the ability to do. Patience is everything. New habits should feel easy, especially in the beginning. If you stay consistent and keep increasing your habits, it's going to get hard enough, fast enough. So just focus on that and introducing the other 4 elements that I've just mentioned in this video. Ideally, what we're looking for, as you can see on the screen right now, is the long-term growth. The zone of long-term growth sits at the sweet spot between sustainability and effort. If you make something really, really sustainable, then as you can see at A, you're just gonna feel really lazy and feel like you're not progressing. But if you make it really, really hard and it takes a huge amount of effort, then it's not gonna be sustainable and ultimately you're gonna find yourself burning out. There's a quote I love by Kelly McConaughey, which is, patience is not simply the ability to wait, it's how we behave whilst we're waiting. I hope you found this video beneficial. Remember, hit subscribe and click the notifications bell if you haven't done already. If there's habits that you're looking to create, please post them in the comments. Let me know what you're getting up to, what habits you're looking to create, and I hope you find this beneficial. Until next time, make it happen.